Hello. Hi, are you having a good time? It's Friday, it's okay, we're alive. Yes, brilliant. Let's bring the energy up. So, we're going to be talking about the new era of the studio. Had to remind myself there. I'm Katie Cowan, I'm the founder of Creative Boom, and I'm joined by the brilliant Mike Maloney of Art and Graft, Dave Cedric of Studio DVD, and Rick Banks of F37. Woo! Woo! So, if we're going to talk about the studio, we've got to go back, we've got to go way back. What was it like back in the 1970s?
yeah. Who's the greyest? That is me, probably. In the 1970s, I have no idea because I wasn't born.
No, I'm being naughty, but come on, we're of a similar age. What was it like when we were working all in studios? Not necessarily for ourselves then, but for other people. There was a camaraderie, wasn't there? It was, dare I say it, good times.
Mostly good times, but very scary times as well for a young designer out of university. And my first job was in a design studio in Manchester called Tucker Clark Williams, TCW, which is no longer going, but Love Creative and Music came out of TCW. It was extremely daunting, sort of being a graduate designer amongst the people that you'd kind of admired through magazines like Creative Review and Design Week, and you'd read about these guys and you'd seen the awards that they'd won, and then you're suddenly there in the middle of it all, trying to kind of show that you have got a value and got a worth. So yeah. Great times, fun times. We talked about them earlier, you know, the beers at lunchtime and the kind of staying late, but difficult times as well. Quite a scary environment to start your career in.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost as scary as the fact that I can hear my own voice echoing back at me, which is the weirdest thing ever. I almost think we'd be better off without the mic, but that's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, you're doing great. Keep going.
I'm trying my best. These two are just letting me just take the mic, aren't they? So I'm about to hand on to the more...
Who would like to go next?
You know... What he said. Oh, no.
Have you got a third?
Go on, Rick. Come on. What was it like back in the 70s?
70s, right. Yeah, so I graduated in 2007. Oh, bloody hell. And I started at a company called C Design in London. And, like Dave said, it was very, very scary. But I think it'd be more scary if I was working from home as a junior rather than being in the studio. I learned so much about just working in an office, not necessarily the design, how to answer the phone, how to photocopy, how to do craft. I remember doing mock-ups with a scalpel and spray mount. Yeah, I think that's... You're not allowed that. Is that banned? Is it causing cancer or something? But yeah, they were...
You're okay.
Yeah, we're all right. So... Yeah, it was it was a very, very strict environment in terms of creative directors ripping up your work in front of everyone, and it was dog eat dog, really. You had to get a thick skin, get the piss taken out of you. It was grim at times, but also unreal as well. I love, like Dave said, going to the pub on a Friday, and a lot of the studios in London met all together in the pub, and you'd learn so much in those pub conversations, probably more than I did in the studio, and just and people's personal lives. So I loved it. Yeah, loved it as a junior work in the studio.
Yeah, it was great times. Great times. What about you, Mike?
I completely. I loved it too. I'm old enough, so my first job was in '99 in a new media agency, they were called then, in Old Street. They were called Deep End.
Deep End, wow.
Yeah, Deep End or Deep End or Deep End. Most people say Deep End. And same thing really. It was, you just dropped into it. There was no onboarding. There was no this is you was first day. This is your desk and this is your fucking job.
Yeah.
Get on with it. And
the learning curve was massive, wasn't it? The learning curve.
Completely. And you're just right. And so you're on. And it's real like sink or swim. You just get on with it. But I like that.
Yeah.
And you just work as hard as you can. And rendering then took forever. So there was, I used to sleep under the desk a lot, render and like have a cape, render. And then the same thing really, I'd follow all the senior creatives around. If they went to the pub in the evening, I was in the pub.
Wow.
Because I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could and listen to like the conversations and just spend as much time as I could with them.
Did it help?
I don't know. I was just so like interested in learning as much as I possibly could, and the way I did it was just to hang around with people and listen to what they were saying. Yeah.
Well, this is what we're here to talk about. Does it do us good to be together? I guess is the question, isn't it? I mean, how many here are working from home all the time? Right, that's quite a lot, isn't it? Yeah. And so when did things start to change then? You've all obviously go on to run your own kind of successful businesses. When did it change for you, Dave?
So I worked for agencies for 10 years, for different design agencies, and then in 2011 I got married, and I wanted a really long honeymoon, and the agency I was at would only give us like 2 weeks off, and I thought, fuck it, like I may as well leave. That is the honest truth. I mean, I was thinking about it before then. I wasn't that just mad. Like I'd thought, should I go and freelance for a bit? And it just was the right time. So I left in 2011, initially as a freelancer, sort of going in agencies in Manchester and working for companies and sort of going into studios. And it was interesting because I saw a lot like different studios and how they worked. Some people would stay really late, like ridiculously late. Some people would go home like at 5 o'clock. I think I got more out of those 2 or 3 years freelancing than I'd got out of 10 years in agencies, because I think I just got used to the way the agencies I worked at did things. We thought that was the right way, and then I sort of worked for different places. But I never really enjoyed that freelancing world. I always felt like there was a massive divide between myself and the staff that were there full time. I think they felt like we were coming in charging like our high day rate, and we had no connection to the studio, which is possibly true in some ways, but was also given some shit stuff to do as well as a freelancer. You don't get the really good fun stuff. You often get the dregs that no one wants to do. But I needed to freelance to kind of break working in agencies and then starting work for myself. And gradually, over a period of a few years, I just got more and more of my own kind of direct clients. Really small budgets at the start, a few £100 here, a few £100 there. But it's like the pendulum swung to that side. And although the money wasn't as good, I preferred dealing directly with clients and being sort of in charge of my own destiny a little bit than being a full-time freelancer. And I worked at home initially for a few months. I found it like really hard, like procrastinating and just doing anything that wasn't work. You can't imagine how many loads of washing you can do when you're working at home, or how many kind of trips to the co-op at the end of the road you can do just to put off actually fucking doing something. So I needed a studio. I needed to work somewhere. So yeah, a bit of structure.
Yeah.
I'm rambling on now.
No, I think it's great because there'll be lots of people resonating with this in the room that work for themselves. It's like I'm working from home at the moment myself and going through that kind of, talking, going into different rooms, talking to myself, going slightly mad. You're quite an advocate for everybody being in the office. You think actually being together is a good thing,
Yeah, I really do. It's really, really important to art and craft. It's really important to me as an individual, but it's really important to art and craft. And I think, we've learned a lot, haven't we, since COVID, right? COVID was a kind of mad thing that happened.
Yeah.
And it kind of turned everybody's world kind of upside down in lots of ways, right? And we had to kind of like work out what we were doing, and it's given different work patterns. And I think the thing to say about this, right, there's no like silver bullet, there's no right answer, there's no, you know,
God, no.
whatever works for anybody is fine. It's just what we feel works for us.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's
100%.
that's all you can do really, is find your own way through it. And for us at Art and Graph, like the studio is like the beating heart of like everything we do.
Yeah.
For lots of different reasons, really. And I think that since COVID, the pendulum kind of swung, and it was just like, right, everybody's going to work remote. And then where that pendulum may end up sitting over the next few years, I don't know. But we kind of went almost the other way when we could.
Yeah.
We couldn't wait to get back together.
I know, I hear it so many times. There's so many different people who've responded since the pandemic, the work from home phenomenon. Rick, you've got a field of dreams.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, back in 2017, I left London and had a baby boy and built my own studio in a field that I've got. I took inspiration from a studio called Universal Everything, who did the same. And yeah, everyone started to work in there. I still had a few remote staff, and I generally don't know how I feel about remote or working in a studio. I get both sides. As an older designer, when you've got family, I mean, it's so important to have that flexibility of working from home. But then I do feel so sorry for like juniors, because as I said before, I think your learning curve's so high when you're in a studio, learning every single day in there. And we did have a junior once, and for example, he just went off on a tangent for a whole day at home. If he was in the studio, I would have like nipped that in the bud and go, oh no, it's the wrong route. That maybe try something there, but it's just wasted a whole day that, because he's just totally gone. It's not his fault at all. He's a junior. You need to learn. So there's things like that that I don't think is very good. But yeah, and now we're basically all fully remote. Which again, I don't think's good for anyone's mental health. We're like social animals. We need to mix, and especially with the design process, I think it's so much better when you're in person, and also with juniors as well. I walked past this junior's screen, and I saw something like, oh, it wasn't bang on or anything, but I saw something in it. I was like, oh, what about exploring that? And when he was working at home, he wouldn't have even shown me that. He would have just shown me finished pieces. And so I think there's those sort of instances that just don't work for me, working from home. So I generally don't know what the answer is.
It's true. I mean, it's interesting how like cultural events and things like the economic crisis and the pandemic have just shifted everything and made us reassess. And you're like, when you run your own business, you're always thinking about, okay, is this right? Let's try this route. It's a constant sort of tightrope, isn't it? Do you feel like with the onslaught of AI that's another shift that's happening that might be the thing that gets us more together again?
Oh, cheers. I seem to have the fall guy who gets the first question has to come up with some random answer so you two can have more time to think.
But nobody has the answers though, do they? It's like,
I couldn't give a fuck about AI.
Pass the mic on, come on.
I think you're right. That it's been rapid fire, hasn't it, over the last few years? Like if it's bang, 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 and AI's the next one.
Yeah.
It's big subjects, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, what we've been talking about quite a bit in the studio recently is this idea about human collision, right? And this idea that really good things happen when people hang out with each other, right? Yeah, exactly. And as Rick was just saying, like you just have this random little thought, a bit of a conversation here, a bit of a chat here, and it just fucking leads off to different places. That stuff is really undervalued.
Yeah, it really is.
Do you know what I mean? And I think
cooking and
Just
anything, like just being well, maybe not hugging at work. That's a bit inappropriate. I'm probably showing my age there. But, it's like just being in the room and saying, hey, what do you think of this? And is this a good idea? And maybe I could go down this route. And just having more brains in the room is just a wonderful thing.
Stuff happens. Like Steve touched upon it earlier in the Art and Graph talk, in terms of this thing where, there is a bit of a homogenization of design going on over the past kind of like 5 to 6, 10 years, where things are starting to feel the same. Things are starting to feel like beige,
Yeah.
And how are we going to stop that? How are we going to find these things that feel different, that give you this kind of different feeling? That, you know what I mean? And that isn't going to happen with people working in isolation, feeding beige stuff into AI and expecting fucking good results.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the answer definitely isn't that. And so the opposite of that is to be together, human collision, to have conversations, to try and find the different connections of stuff we've already got in our heads anyway, to find those ideas.
Yeah, a lot of magic stuff happens. Do people miss working, like, of those who work from home, do you miss being in a studio with other people? No, sort of. Okay, this is interesting. Because I suppose, like, there was a nice golden era of, do you remember co-working? Yeah, it still exists. Does anybody co-work anymore? One person, 2 people. Okay. Yeah, all right. So it's always changing. It's always fluctuating. We're all trying these things out. So what's next then? Do you think you will carry on with your office? You say you have Fridays off. It's flexi. Do you think you'll do more of together or less?
I quite like my situation because I'm, just in case anyone cares, I like my situation over to it. No, because I'm in a building with co-working on the ground floor. There's a coffee shop and people like work there on their laptops. And then I'm on the first floor in my own kind of office. So depending on what mood I'm in, I can be quite sociable and interact and connect with people, or I can close the door and get my work done. So I get to pick and choose depending on how much work I've got that day or how busy I am, what level of interaction I can handle, and people can handle from me as well. I'm sure people are like, fucking hell, there's the coming along again. But I think it's important to still have people around you in some capacity.
That's a really important point. It's not always just, we don't always want to be hanging around chatting, and you know what I mean?
No,
there's got to be moments where you're like, right, okay, I'm good, I've got that, and I need to lock in. You need that kind of like light and shade as well, yeah.
No, it's true. And also, like, the hybrid approach works for so many of us. A lot of us have families, we're bringing up young children, the responsibilities and the I don't know because I've not personally done it myself, but I can imagine it's really challenging. So having the flexibility is obviously, it's important.
Yeah, I've got to pick up my kids two times a week at 3:30. So yeah, it's.
You need to hurry up, mate.
I know, yeah. This is going to be on the street.
The school better be a decent school.
Social services around soon. But yeah, it's really important for me. But as I was saying, I've worked remotely now for a long time, for years, and it is getting to me. So much so, I'm actually thinking of getting an office, on the studio cells, getting an office and getting people in there, just so I can talk to people. I even miss, I remember when I was just working in London, just talking to non-designers, like talking to project managers or account managers or the secretaries, etc. You learn something more about just chatting to like non-designers, and you're not in this echo chamber. I miss that. When you're just on your own, churning out work, it's just not good for you. And as well, you end up doing, for me anyway, I end up doing so many hours because I start at like 8. If you're working from home, you've got no commute, so you're like, well, I might as well start. And then you go to lunch, you're like, I'll have a sandwich, and then it's like 10 minutes. Oh, fuck it, I'll just work again. And then you work again another hour after because you've not got the commute. So you're doing some serious hours at the end of the week. And it's not good. I don't think so. Yeah, for me, I know I need to change in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, you did an article on it, didn't you? In terms of like this sense of loneliness that people have.
Definitely. People are feeling really lonely, and that's an important point. You know, if you do work from home all of the time, you often you got the cat maybe to have a conversation with. All right, Charlie, how are you doing? You want some more food? Well, yeah. You know, and you kind of like, that's it. And then you go out for a walk at lunchtime, and you might see, you know, Barbara out walking the dog who lives across the road. This is just my sad story. I'm realising.
It's like counselling, isn't it, here on stage?
It really is.
I think my thing in where I work as well is it's not just design agencies. So I think we've got to consider that design agencies don't work in isolation and in silo, like in our own bubble. I've actually got work from being in the space that I'm at, you know, from chatting to people and made connections and networks and things like that you don't get when you're working at home or if you're in a build your own studio in your own field that you just casually threw into conversation that he has a field. Also, I don't know if you know or not, but Rick is a typographer, and he's just making sure that you're aware of that today. You know, I just noticed. If you jumble them up, what does it say? Me or you? But yeah, I think that idea of like being around not just creatives, but being around people, and going back to your point about AI that I just casually brushed off there, I think that we're definitely hitting a point where authenticity and realism and human connection is fighting back a little bit, and I think that it's so important to make those human connections, whether that's with clients directly or with your team and freelancers and things like that. So I would say, without trying to like end the talk, is that there's various different ways that we can work now, which is a really positive thing. So you go back to the 70s and the 80s, and it was very much studio, agency, 9 a.m. till 10 at night, and you socialise with the people you work with, and you hung out with the people that you work with. And I think that's gone for the better. And I think that we're now in a situation where there are so many different ways of working, and people will find their own journey, their own solution, and that's a positive thing. And there's no right or wrong, and there's no pointing and making assumptions about how people are working, because the most important thing is the work that's being created, not how and where it's being created.
Very wise.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that? It's an interesting point. Do obviously they do, but creative hubs, they exist, right? Are there sort of closed communities of creatives that all hang out in certain cities like London and they get the best gigs? Does that still exist?
In London or around
Wherever,
here?
New York?
Yeah, I think so. Well, in London, I thought it was like pretty much every day. I don't know if you're working in London, aren't you? So you can answer that better than me. But especially when I was a junior and midway, there was design events and community stuff going on all the time. I think that's stopped now past COVID, would you say? Yeah. Or lessened?
No, I think... I'm not sure if it's lessened,
okay.
But there's still a lot going on. But I think the bigger question there is probably it's more of an economical one, right? And
yeah,
like
in
London's an expensive place to live.
Yeah.
As a junior designer, midway designer, you're only going to earn up to a certain amount of money because that's the kind of salary bracket or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so that is an issue, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel places like Manchester have really got a positive impact on the design community, because I think rents are probably cheaper. You can live a bit cheaper. Yeah? I don't know anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's definitely that kind of opportunity to develop young creative talent.
Yeah, totally. And it's remote roles as well. That opens up the door to everyone. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can sort of get a job that maybe 20, 30, maybe even 10 years ago
Yeah.
You had to be in London, and not everyone can do that. So
No.
there are, highs and lows, daily struggle.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was an in-joke. I was trying to get daily struggle in and did it really badly. I had to sort of point that out. Oh, God, it's been a long day. Anyway, so where did it go from here then? Do you think the creative industry is coming together again? Is it changing, or is it just anyone's guess at this point?
Where do we go from here? Well, I've got my eye on that bar, just...
Dave keeps hinting that he
I
wants
know,
the talk
sorry.
to end.
It's like first night out in 10 years or something. For me, me and Rick were chatting before. I mean, I'll be honest as much as I can be. Like, for me, I work for myself, but I have a studio. That whole thing about, are you a studio when you're on your own? And everybody says, oh, you're not until you've got staff. But I have, bricks and mortar, my own clients, my own accountant, my own working space. But the studio is me. And in terms of the future, and, I'm getting close to 50, it's like there is it's a difficult conversation for me to have and think about because, most studios, me and Rick were talking about this earlier today, what's the sort of get out, what's the future plan look like? It tends to look like selling the studio, doesn't it, for sort of people who've set up a studio. They hope and they think that in time they can sell that studio and the clients and the staff and the resources and everything. But I can't sell myself in that way. And so, yeah, exactly. Wow. There's time yet, though. There's time. Let me rephrase that. I can't sell my design talents if I'm not there. And so I am the studio, basically.
Yeah.
Without me, there is no studio. So for me, I'm in a very difficult position because I'm kind of like, I could potentially grow the studio. I've got the clients to do that, the income. But I also absolutely hate passing any design on to anyone else.
You're a control freak.
I'm a massive control freak, and it's difficult because I need to get over that, and I need to get over this feeling of like I need to do everything, take on the emails, the clients, the work, every little bit of it. But in order to grow the studio, I perhaps need to consider that. Although you have a different opinion of it, don't you?
In terms of, I need to be more creative. Sorry.
No. You said you spend a lot of time now on you don't do the design anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Like, Mike will probably say the same. I'm not sure what your situation is, but I didn't really want to have a studio. I just wanted it to be like Dave, just me on my own. It was, I loved it, being creative. It was stress-free. And then it just organically snowballed. I didn't mean it to happen that way. I didn't design it to be that way. And I don't really do any more creative now. I have a very light touch creative direction, but it's just more emails, managing people. Obviously, there's more money in that sense in terms of when you get staff and budgets. But yeah, it's a different part of my life and my career. Do I enjoy it? I'm not sure. I was very, very happy when I didn't have any staff. Thanks, mate. Thanks. And it's a lot of stress as well, of a lot of insomnia, like thinking about you're paying people's mortgages and pay slips, and you got to hit the money, sort of thing. I still love it. But yeah, I still love it. Got my book. Got my books to do next month, so that'll be great. So I still love it. Yeah.
I can't remember the question. Daily struggle.
Future, you don't know. I mean, you kind of, you try and look, because we were talking about this last night, weren't we, about planning ahead and that kind of stuff. You try to as best you can. I think what we try and do at Art and Graft is we spend a lot of time on individual personal development of people within the team, and we try our best to really focus on that and set kind of individual development plans and goals for trying to give people in the team a kind of clear path of what the next few years might look like.
Yeah, which is
And it's
anyone's guess.
Well, it's anybody's guess, but it's also, going back to Dave's point, it's like, I really, really valued that time, as I said at the start, of like hanging around people who were older than me. And I really, like, that was really important to me. And so I think trying to, like, almost like leave something behind where people can kind of like build a career on that as well. So that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Without being too kind of serious about legacy and all that stuff and being too kind of heavy on it. But it's kind of important that if this industry can continue going forward, we need to help and raise really rounded creatives and people who really care about the industry.
Yeah.
And
So it's kind of part of the job.
Do you find that hard if people are working from home, right? See, a lot easier in person to do that.
That's why we're a
Agreed.
studio.
Yeah.
Like, as I say, there's no silver bullet. People can do what they want, really. People can work from home. But for us, being a rounded creative and it's about having people skills. It's not just about your technical design skills and having a good eye. It's about how you manage, speak with people, how you kind of get things out of them. There's so many different skills to being a designer, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about being on the box and being on the tools.
By having that ethos and that philosophy, which is definitely valued, and I appreciate where you're coming from, I suppose speaking about new staff and new recruits, then you are limiting your talent pool, aren't you, slightly, because you're looking for people who live in London or can afford to live in London. And I think what I'm seeing a lot now, speaking to agencies, you've got guys working in Portugal, France, Spain, and that massively opens the talent pool up. So I don't know the answer to that, by the way. It's just a point that you're saying it's really important for us to have a team, but then it's kind of, and I mean this in the nicest way, it's narrowing the outlook, isn't it, a little bit?
You do a bit of both, don't you? You have your team, and for Art and Graph, the core ideas, all the kind of ideation and all that, like the start of a project is done with our core team. And then we open it up to that wider network where you can bring in those kind of, you know. But that wider network is very often of a certain level of creatives. Who, you know, then very rarely junior creatives working remotely. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Love it. I don't have to say anything. You just chat amongst yourselves.
It's like question time, but
love it.
we're being very polite and passing the mic to each other, not hogging it. Yeah, you've got a point to make, haven't you, Mark?
Oh, it's brilliant. Should we do some questions? I know people are itching for another pint.
Yep.
All right, okay. Shall we do questions? We can hear you. Yeah.
So you say it's important for young creatives.
Oh,
Ooh, now I can hear my voice.
wow. Join the club.
You say it's important for young designers and early creatives to be in office and get that experience of like the grafting, of staying late and that kind of stuff. It's kind of a double bear question. Do you find that young creatives won't do that anymore and won't stick around and put those extra hours in? And also, how do you make that impression and get those connections when everything's an online application now?
Wow.
Great
question.
Great questions.
It's almost like you've been listening to our conversation off the stage. Yeah. I'll answer the first one for you. I think, look, I can only speak for myself and my background, and, you know, it seems quite cool to say this these days, but like I came from a real working class background, born in Wigan. My parents were, you know, factory workers, and nobody went to university. I was the first to go, and I was brought up with a ridiculously like work hard kind of ethic. Like you just worked. So my dad had me like working on the farms when I was like 12, 13 years old, and I grew up working every summer holiday, every kind of break that we had. So when I went to university and then got a job in the design industry, and still to this day, which is like 25 years later, I'm like almost really fortunate that I'm working in something that I really enjoy, and I'm still like waiting for the day that the men in the white coats come along and say like, all right, mate, you've had a good run at it, but get back to the fucking farm. And I think that's one thing that
Rick's Field.
Rick's Field. If you need any work, lettuce pulling or whatever it is. I guess what I'm trying to say is that like it's been great for me in terms of a work ethic, like work hard, knuckle down, put the hours in, graft, but it's also sometimes holds me back as well, because I feel like I'm never really able to fully enjoy where I'm at in my career. But I think that, young generation have had it tough as well. We've touched on that on the stage. The world's changing so quickly, like faster than we ever thought it was changing when we were younger. And I don't think it would be fair of me or us to sort of say that, things should be different in terms of young people should act differently or work differently. But I think there are values that are still important today, like initiative and enthusiasm and showing ambition. And that doesn't necessarily mean working till 2 a.m. every night. I'm hope that world has gone, because I think we've got to really get the balance right between working hard and putting the hours in, but having downtime as well, and having time for ourselves and our family and our friends and our social life and our life outside of design. Because although design is really important and everybody loves it, we wouldn't be here on a Friday. It's not the fucking be-all and end-all. And, like, it's maybe taken me a long time to realise that, and becoming a dad and, going through the death of my mum and things like that, that actually, define... The definition of me is not what hours I put in. It's about, the time I spend with my mates and my family. And most people on their deathbed, the one thing that they say is, I wish I'd not worked as many hours. Yeah. David Cassidy's famous last words was, so much wasted time. And I think that's really important. So I think young people have probably got the right idea, but it's quite hard for our generation to sort of understand that.
Yeah,
I think we were
a bad generation, weren't we? Go on, sorry.
I think our generation, looking back, were probably taken advantage of a little bit in terms of that.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we probably didn't push back as much as we probably should have done, because we were just, I was just so happy to have a job. I was just like, fuck it, I'll do whatever.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we really grafted and we didn't think about it. So young people of today are amazing, and a lot of them came out of the pandemic. They were doing their university courses in the pandemic, so they didn't see anyone, so they were isolated. Then they came out of that and then faced the working world.
I think young people are starting their own studios, aren't they? Which is great. Like, they're not waiting for the traditional agency, junior, midweight, senior, creative director agency. They're just starting at the beginning, and to some extent, maybe that's the answer as well. Yeah, again, like I said before, there is no right or wrong, I don't think.
No, exactly. Is that good? Are you happy with that? Brilliant. Oh, another one.
Just the second part of...
the second...
that in-person connection when all applications are online. Or, when it's about being like you said, a creative person has not just your work, but how you interact with people, how you speak with people, how you act in a studio climate, how do you address those skills, and also that work ethic skill that you can't really show unless you sit down and have a conversation with someone, and how when you're hiring based on...
Right, so she's asking, how do you kind of... Based on an online application, how do you get across online that you have those in-person skills?
Well, get a job interview online.
Yeah, because a lot of them are online now.
Is that right? I didn't even know that.
Is that true? They're all online now? God, I feel out of touch.
How do you feel when clients are online? Do you have a face-to-face Zoom call, or if they're abroad?
Yeah, we have Zoom calls all the time, obviously, because we're remote. You do lose that connection. Even, this is totally personal, but even my therapist, it's so much better in person than in a Zoom. you get that human connection, I suppose. But yeah, all our clients are all worldwide and all through Zoom, and it is quite hard to find that sort of humanity or that personal touch, and things get lost in sort of translation, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, what was your question again?
It was just basically how can you like represent yourself on an online application that you have a strong work ethic and you have.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can.
I give you the answer. I don't think you can truly be yourself online in a video call. I fucking hate them.
I know.
I much prefer meeting people face to face,
Does anyone
coffee
like
or a
Zoom?
beer.
Does anyone like Zoom?
I hope it's the. I think some good things came out of COVID,
Yeah.
but I think some bad things. And this constant video call over fucking any little detail, I absolutely can't stand that.
No.
Yeah, one
Say it
pint
as
and
it
half a
is.
bottle of beer.
Any other questions?
And another thing, don't get me started on the pedestrianisation of Norwich.
He's at that age, you know, grumpy and approaching 50, you know. Every time I see him, we're nearly 50, Katie. All the time. I'm like, you speak for yourself, Dave. I'm fantastic. Anyway, next question.
So I kind of agree with the being in the office allows for those like moments of interaction, but how do you make the like studio, the office space, a place where people want to be, and how do you set that example? Because, you know, do you get higher up, then maybe you are leaving to go and collect your kids, but people without children are still there till God knows what time. It's just how do you ensure you're setting that example and making the office a place that people want to actually be?
Really good, really good question. And again, there's no one answer to that. It's you know, you're trying to create an environment that people want to be. They want to be there. You're trying to create this environment that people want to turn up, they enjoy the space, and they feel the reward from being there. They feel the reward from that commitment of being a group, right? But also everybody's individuals, and everybody's got they're in different stages of their life, they've got different responsibilities, and so it's trying to find that balance between a group commitment, like we're committed to doing this as a team, this is like the thing that we're joining together to do, and also having that individual flexibility where you allow people to go and pick their kids up from school, or one of the things we've done recently, and it's like a small tweak, but Fridays is work from home, and recently it's now work from anywhere. And I know it's only a small thing, but it's actually been quite a big thing in the studio, because people who've got like family down in Bristol or Cardiff or Norwich, you know what I mean, wherever they want to go, then they can go, right, Thursday evening, I'm going to head off, I'll work from Bristol, and then I've got a weekend, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, again, there's no answer to that, but you have to have a commitment as a team. You have to have that, with the flexibility for individuals to like push around the edges, I think.
Great. Okay, another question? I think there's a gentleman at the back.
No, it's okay. No, I'll give you.
This is going to be interesting. Some great questions here.
I think this is probably a question for Mike, but maybe the field as well. So I run a studio that's kind of a similar size to your studio, Mike.
This is Jay from Giant Ant. Don't stitch me up.
Okay, here's the question. The question is, I think I agree with you about the junior thing. It's difficult to develop your career remotely as a junior because you miss all the cues. But I'm going to try to phrase this as a question, but like I also feel like it's difficult for the next level of senior management to develop from home as well. And we've really struggled with that, where we feel like the people kind of in the middle of their career do fine from home, and they can kind of work from anywhere because they're sort of just, session musicians doing the thing. And then we find that juniors really struggle, but we find that seniors really struggle, and they don't develop those management skills and soft skills that help the juniors then succeed once they do get to the office.
100%.
And it's sort of like a, do you feel that?
Yeah.
And with that, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. That's it. We're wrapping it up. Oh, do you want to answer it?
I wasn't being, I just agree.
Okay.
Well, we're getting told to stop, but yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're getting pressure to stop. But go on, answer it. Go on. Can we finish? Oh, right. Go ahead. Go.
I 100% agree, Jay. And I think, again, it comes back to that balance of like a group commitment, right? So what you often find with senior people is because they've done their shift, they feel like they've done their time in the studio and done their thing. Right, now I'm at a senior level, now I should be allowed to work remotely more, and I should be, you know, and again, it comes back to that commitment. It's like, no, your commitment now as a senior is to help raise the next kind of younger generation, and so you can't just do your bit, walk into your castle, pull up the drawbridge, because you're all gravy. You can't do that. You know, you've got to keep your kind of commitment to what's coming behind you.
It's all about the next generation, isn't it? Right, well, thank you so much for coming. That was great. Thank you. Thanks so much.